tourism will help oil the wheels of the Namibian economy. Hello, this is Business 7. Welcome to the program in which we are going to focus on the tourism sector in Namibia, as well as, of course, the big buzz that's been created around Total Energy and Shell's announcement in February that they have discovered significant oil offshore Namibia. Please stay tuned.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alex Forbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
It's been 2 years of literally hell for the tourism industry. So it is wonderful to be able to have an interview with the Chief Executive Officer of the Hospitality Association of Namibia, Gita Petzold, in which she actually brings good news about the recovery in the tourism sector. Tourism remains one of the pillars of Namibia's economic recovery. We're speaking to Gita Petzold. She's the CEO of the Hospitality Association of Namibia, to find out how the sector is progressing. Hello, Gita. Welcome to Business 7.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Gita, the latest stats, it does show that it's going better in tourism. Can you put that into perspective for us, please?
Yeah, definitely. Johan keeps tally of the tourism performance in our sector, which is tourism accommodation. That's where we can count numbers of people in our rooms and beds of all the hotels, lodges, and accommodation facilities across the country. And in May, we reached the 70% mark. When I say 70%, is that in May, we were 70% back to a level of normality. So that doesn't mean that our beds were 70% full, but we've reached the level of 70% of 2019. In 2019, in May, all the accommodation establishments across the country were an average of 55% full. Now in May 2022, we reached almost 39% of all available beds, or rooms I should say, filled, which to us is a good sign that we are slowly but surely moving forward. I know at the beginning of the year we were talking about 50%. In March already we saw that 50% was progressing to a 65% return to normality. Now in May, we reached the 70% mark, and looking forward, July is the start of our high season. July to October usually was the traditional high season for tourism. And with some of our lodges actually claiming that they are fully booked for those 3 months of the year, we can actually really look forward to an even bigger increase in the numbers and a faster return to normality by the end of this year, hopefully.
It's absolute wonderful to hear numbers like that, lodges reporting news like that. I mean, I think it's music to everybody's ears. Gita, if you look at the stats in a bit more detail, where are the tourists coming from mostly, and why are they in the country?
It's almost a given. We did expect that, but our bulk tourism still comes from Central Europe, the German-speaking countries. That is now not only Germany, but also Austria and Switzerland. They really supported us also through the pandemic. Remember, we tried the Tourism Revival Initiative since September of 2020 and could do that because we had the loyal support of Eurowings, who kept that route between our main source market and Namibia afloat. And the demand is there from that market, from Central Europe, because obviously people from France, Italy, Spain and Portugal also connect through Frankfurt to come to Namibia mainly. Eurowings, as you all know, will institute the 10th flight per week in coming July. That's, I think, a novelty for Namibia. No other airline has ever flown to Namibia 10 times a week, an international airline, I should say. We do have the connections with Airlink from South Africa. They actually service Namibia with 45 different flights a week through Walvis Bay and Windhoek. So we do have connections from South Africa that will also then link up to international destinations. But our main source market still comes from Central Europe, and the Eurowings flights, I believe, are full. We are very thankful that we've got Ethiopian Airways. They are also connecting us to the international community via Addis Ababa. And you will know that as of the end of this week, on the 25th of June, Qatar is returning back to Namibia with weekly flights via Doha. And we do hope and expect that through the Qatar connection, we can link up to markets in the West, that is now the American markets, and also the Asian markets, because Doha is also a very central point for connectivity. But yes, our main source markets, we looked at the figures. The German-speaking European countries are still our biggest support market. South Africa's also come out strong. We see a little bit of a decline in the domestic market, the Namibian market, but that has good reasons. First of all, it's not a holiday season for us now. And also, I mean, all the Namibians had 2 years to travel, and they made use of all the specials. Now that normal tourism is back, obviously the rates have changed. But Namibians shouldn't despair, because there's always reason to travel in Namibia, and we know that the beginning of the year is our low season, and many of our establishments have resorted to special prices for Namibians at special times. These would not necessarily be advertised on social media, because obviously that would disturb the international market. But Namibians shouldn't give up on their hopes to actually travel their country. But yeah, we are returning to normal. We're 70% there, and we need it. We need the Forex to flow into Namibia, because that is basically the biggest problem that Namibian tourism still has. The demand is there. We are ready to service that demand more so than we ever were, because we still have a lot of capacity to grow on those numbers. Financially, our people are still suffering, because you can expect lots of people took all the loans that they could. Their cash flow is next to nothing. So the financial pressure is still on there. And that's where we are looking at really stepping up our game in terms of securing that the consistency of financial inflow is there. And we can only do that with international travel.
While Namibia and its cities are seen as one of the cleanest countries in Africa, plastic pollution is a big problem. Therefore, it's up to each of us to do what we can to reduce the use of plastic, especially single-use plastic bags. At Liberty Life Namibia, we've taken the decision to turn all our old branding items into reusable shopping bags. It's a way in which we can drive sustainability and look after our most important stakeholder, our environment. If you also believe in sustainability and would like more information, please get in touch. Liberty Life Namibia. In it with you.
COVID has changed the landscape for tourism worldwide, and Namibia actually fits this new trend perfectly with its wide open spaces. Gita Petzel, the CEO of the Hospitality Association of Namibia, tells us all about the new trends in tourism.
There's been a lot of talk about the changing face of tourism, that tourists are approaching holidays differently, and especially in a country like Namibia. What are the main trends that you're observing?
Well, at the moment, we've seen that there was a lot of self-drive, obviously, because on the one hand, Namibia lends itself to self-drive tourism. We've already seen the growth of that trend before the pandemic. Because our road infrastructure is good, our communications is good, we are well established. So our tourism infrastructure is actually very suitable for self-drive tourism. I think COVID increased that demand because people like to travel now in their own safe bubble. So they prefer renting their own car and going on tour with their own friends and family. We have seen some negative developments on that as well, where self-drivers, because of the low numbers of tourists in the country, some people now dare to come to Namibia and don't do any bookings. So, and with the wonderful fully equipped vehicles that we are offering tourists at the moment, we've already seen that some people then take their car, take their rooftop tents and park anyway. They don't even frequent some of the official camping sites. That has some negative impact, obviously, not only because of financial losses that the tourism accommodation industry then suffers, but also safety and security. And it's just not right for somebody just to park on somebody else's private land. And even communal land, to that effect, still belongs to the state, belongs to communities, and it would be good for people to actually, spare their dollars to get the services that we are actually trying to offer to these people. But that, fortunately, is an absolute minority. We've seen a lot of people still do the right sort of tours through Namibia. There's much more consciousness of going into the wilderness, taking hold of the experiences that we offer. And the search for freedom, that wide open space, to me, currently, it seems as though people are really going for that and saying, we want to be free after 2 years of lockdowns, like you said. So Namibia is really being used for what we can offer, going into the wide open spaces and enjoying the endless horizons that we offer.
Gita, as always, it's been wonderful talking to you. I believe you are on the road again. You've actually made time for us, especially. Thank you very much for that. Safe travels, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. And thanks for thinking of tourism. We're getting there. We're resilient as ever.
In Business 7, you get news on current economic, financial, and business matters in Namibia. The weekly show features interviews with experts and in-depth analysis of burning issues in a way that caters for ordinary Namibians and business connoisseurs alike. We crunch the numbers that matter, decipher statistics that shape Namibian lives, discuss smart money, and explore the impact of global development locally. Money makes the world go round, so catch us on NTV, OneUp2.com, and the Facebook platforms of the Namibian Sun, Republikane, Algemeine Zeitung, and Namibia Media Holdings. For news-related or advertising queries, please contact B7 at synergy.com.na.
Namibia is becoming quite the darling of Bloomberg, which of course is one of the leading financial news sites in the world. Now, this week, Bloomberg interviewed Jennifer Khumalo. She is the chairperson of NAMCOR, and they spoke to Ms. Khumalo about the discovery of oil offshore Namibia. That, of course, is Total Energies and Shell's blocks, and the announcement came in February. We're taking a look at this video and interview from Bloomberg.
How many people want to have meetings with you? How much more important has Namibia and many African nations become in the eye of this crisis?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. I must say these new oil discoveries in February has really been a game changer for Namibia. Our first discoveries after independence, so it's really been more than 30 years of exploration, and finally we hit the jackpot. So, and in this case, Venus especially is such an exciting discovery.
Now, Wood Mackenzie have run the numbers. I remember Gaffney Klein. I used to look at Gaffney Klein's reports many, many years ago. So Wood Mackenzie say you've got 4 billion recoverable barrels. The simple question is, how quickly can you get that, and what do you need to get there?
Yeah. So the good thing is that all the partners are aligned, that we need to get as quickly as possible to production, and especially on the Venus discovery, which is the biggest discovery. Actually, it's in terms of the last decade, it's one of the top 20 global discoveries. So Total is absolutely aligned that we need to get this to production as soon as possible. So actually running processes parallel, the appraisal process, as well as starting to look at the design so that we can get to market as soon as possible.
In terms of COP and COP26 message to developing nations, African nations, not just Africa, but all developing nations, it was about transition with speed and gusto and almost the decline of fossil. That was the narrative. Do you think the energy transition is seriously delayed as a result of the Ukraine-Russia war? Delayed but not denied?
Definitely delayed, because we all of a sudden realized that in the
Severely
interim...
delayed?
Severely delayed, because obviously Europe dependency on Russia, and we now need to find alternative sources.
Yeah.
And especially the green energy space, there's still a lot of technology that needs to advance, cost of that technology that needs to come down before we can really put these solutions in place. So really, I think we can still play a critical role in developing our resources to the benefit of our country. And this is a massive opportunity for us to do the right thing.
Now, you've talked about how to produce. You've got Total on side, and so is there more pressure on you to deliver carbon neutral barrels, as it were, sooner perhaps than some of your developed market peers? Is there that imbalance, or where are you with producing net zero oil? Is that a possibility, and if so, by when?
Well, we were fortunate that we discovered light oil.
Yeah.
Which is lower carbon emissions, but we're definitely not going to get to the net zero situation. We're definitely looking at green solutions to power, those productions. And then I think on the other side of the coin, we're looking at green hydrogen as a much more future projects for Namibia, but also getting involved now so that,
How much more active are you on the board in green hydrogen? This first panel that Francine's going to moderate, I would imagine, will be hydrogen of the world unite. How real is green hydrogen a solution to our global problem? How soon can that be delivered in practical terms?
Yeah. So I think we've invested quite a lot of energy into this, because I think we really thought this was a massive opportunity for our country. Yeah. We are one of the global leaders in terms of resources, in terms of wind and solar resources. So we can compare ourselves very well, to Chile, Saudi Arabia, when we produce green hydrogen. So that poses a massive opportunity for us. So we wanted to be part of shaping that future. And we're talking long term here, we're talking 2030, 2040, but in the interim, there are some things that we can do to speed up that process. And pilot studies, feasibility studies, we want to be part of that.
Look, this is obviously a huge economic driver for Namibia, or it has the potential to deliver huge economic benefits to the country. Can you put some context around that? If Total and Venus come to fruition and you all get a fair wind, what does it mean for the economy?
So our economy, as you very well know, like the rest of the world, has been struggling after COVID. We've actually had recession before COVID. So when COVID hit us, that has actually put even more strain on balancing our budget. So this is a major game changer for us. It at the peak, these two wells these two discoveries could bring up to 5.6 billion US to a very small economy. And doubling the GDP by 2040. So we're looking forward to having the resources to actually implement our plans to address our social economic issues, which we're one of the countries with the highest inequality. We're looking at job creation. Mm-hmm. We're looking at also energy security.
Look, part of this debate, and thank you for mentioning energy security, because I think what we now all understand is the perhaps lack of energy security the world has. But when we caught up a few weeks ago, you said to me, Manus, I want to make a message here at the Doha Forum, and I want an equitable transition. So have you spoken to Mark Carney recently in terms of what is Namibia's vision of an equitable transition?
Yeah. No, I think what we've realized from the learnings of other African countries that have discovered oil and gas is that, we need to be serious about local content. And we have an opportunity to still negotiate that local content, what it will look like with our partners when we come closer to issuing that production license. And I think what we've also learned is policy is one thing, but we actually need legislation to make sure that, we've got, the backing that these targets, these specific targets, focused targets, are actually, we're able to monitor them, enforce if those targets are not reached. So really, I think the conversation in Namibia right now is what is going to be that local content.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alex Forbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
Thank you very much for joining us in the Business 7 studio. Please stay warm. We'll see you next week again. Goodbye.
While Namibia and its cities are seen as one of the cleanest countries in Africa, plastic pollution is a big problem. Therefore, it's up to each of us to do what we can to reduce the use of plastic, especially single-use plastic bags. At Liberty Life Namibia, we've taken the decision to turn all our old branding items into reusable shopping bags. It's a way in which we can drive sustainability and look after our most important stakeholder, our environment. If you also believe in sustainability and would like more information, please get in touch. Liberty Life Namibia. In it with you.
In Business 7, you get news on current economic, financial, and business matters in Namibia. The weekly show features interviews with experts and in-depth analysis of burning issues in a way that caters for ordinary Namibians and business connoisseurs alike. We crunch the numbers that matter, decipher statistics that shape Namibian lives, discuss smart money, and explore the impact of global development locally. Money makes the world go round, so catch us on NTV, OneUp2.com, and the Facebook platforms of the Namibian Sun, Republikane, Algemeine Zeitung, and Namibia Media Holdings. For news-related or advertising queries, please contact B7 at synergy.com.na.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, welcome to another exciting edition.